In 2012, researchers at Harvard conducted a fascinating study. They found that people who take just 10 minutes a day to reflect on their choices, writing down what they learned or what they could have done differently, improved their decision-making ability by more than 20% within weeks. Reflection turned ordinary moments into powerful lessons. Now imagine a young man named Ronald. For most of his life, he moved forward without ever stopping to ask the bigger questions. He followed routines, did what was expected, and lived like many of us do on autopilot. But one ordinary day, Ronald began to know. Not just know facts, not just know rules, but truly know himself, his place in the world, and what it means to live with awareness. His journey is more than a personal story. It's a mirror reflecting how many Americans, from students to professionals, reach that turning point where they stop existing and start understanding. 1. The comfort zone of unawareness. Ronald grew up in Ohio, in a middle-class family. Like many kids, he was taught to work hard, get decent grades, and stay out of trouble. He knew how to follow instructions, but he never asked why in school. He memorized history dates but never thought about their meaning. He solved math problems but never questioned their connection to real life. His parents, busy with work, often told him, "Just do what you're told and things will work out." And for a long time, Ronald believed that. He lived comfortably in what psychologists call the unconscious competence stage. You do things automatically without reflecting deeply. But while that works for survival, it leaves little room for self-discovery. 2. The spark of realization. The first crack appeared during his freshman year at college in Michigan. Ronald sat in a sociology lecture where the professor asked, "Why do you believe what you believe?" The room went silent. Students shifted uncomfortably. Ronald froze. He realized that much of what he thought about success, happiness, even morality wasn't chosen by him. It was inherited from family, from media, from culture. That moment was Ronald's spark, the beginning of curiosity, the first step of what philosophers like Socrates called the examined life. 3. Small steps into awareness. Awareness doesn't explode overnight. It grows like sunrise, slowly illuminating what was once dark. Ronald started with small questions. When eating fast food, he wondered, do I actually enjoy this, or am I just used to it because it's quick and cheap? When scrolling through social media, he asked, is this making me happier, or just distracting me from boredom? Each question felt uncomfortable, like pulling a thread that might unravel the whole sweater. But with each question, Ronald felt lighter. He wasn't just living anymore, he was learning how to live. 4. The power of failing forward. Ronald's journey wasn't smooth. In his sophomore year, he joined a startup project with friends. They dreamed of building an app that would change the way students study. After 6 months of coding, late nights, and endless presentations, the project failed. The Ronald of the past would have buried that memory under shame. But the Ronald who was beginning to know asked a better question. What did this failure teach me? He discovered resilience, teamwork, and the reality that passion alone isn't enough. You need planning, strategy, and persistence. Psychologists call this failing forward, treating setbacks as stepping stones, not dead ends. And studies back this up. According to research by Stanford University, students who embraced a growth mindset improved their performance dramatically compared to those who feared mistakes. Ronald was living proof of that. 5. Learning from people, not just books. One of Ronald's biggest shifts came from people. His roommate, Alex, grew up in New York, raised by immigrant parents. Over late-night conversations, Alex challenged Ronald's views on privilege, race, and opportunity. At first, Ronald resisted. Nobody likes having their worldview shaken. But slowly, he began to realize something profound. Knowledge isn't just in textbooks. It's in people's stories, their experiences, their struggles. This was the heart of empathy. And empathy, studies show, is one of the strongest predictors of success in leadership, relationships, and even health. By opening his ears, Ronald opened his mind. 6. The mirror moment. Every journey of self-discovery has a mirror moment. The instant where you look at yourself and realize, this is who I've been, and this is who I could be. For Ronald, that came one evening while volunteering at a food bank. He watched families walk in, some working 2 jobs, some struggling to make rent. A young boy, about 10 years old, held his mother's hand while clutching a worn-out backpack. Ronald thought back to his own childhood. He never worried about his next meal. He never felt that kind of uncertainty. And in that reflection, he saw privilege not as guilt but as responsibility. That was when Ronald began to know that life wasn't just about him. It was about contribution. 7. Knowledge into action. Awareness without action fades like morning fog. Ronald understood this, so he began applying what he was learning. Instead of blindly chasing a career for money, he asked, "What work excites me and serves others?" Instead of judging people for their choices, he asked, "What circumstances shape them?" Instead of running from mistakes, he leaned into them, using each as a lesson. This transformation wasn't dramatic, it was gradual. Friends noticed he listened more, rushed less, and spoke with clarity. Ronald wasn't just smarter, he was wiser. 8. A universal journey. Ronald's story is personal, but it reflects a universal pattern, especially in the United States. Surveys show that nearly 60% of Americans feel like they're going through the motions in daily life without a strong sense of purpose. Yet when people pause, reflect, and ask deeper questions, they unlock something powerful: the ability to shape their own path. From students struggling with identity to professionals rethinking their careers during the Great Resignation, the process of beginning to know is reshaping American culture. It's not about knowing everything, it's about knowing enough to live with intention. Closing reflection. Ronald didn't become perfect. He didn't find all the answers, but he began asking better questions. And sometimes that's all it takes. Not a sudden breakthrough, not a life-altering miracle, just the courage to pause, to reflect, and to know yourself a little more each day. Because the real beginning to know is the beginning to truly live.